So welcome back to another video on the channel, guys. What we have today is quite an exciting video, actually. Last week I asked you guys for some questions for a Q&A and you did not disappoint. We got some really juicy ones to get into today. We got my championship team of the decade coming up in this video, who I think is getting promoted and relegated from all the leagues, who do I think is under and overrated in the championship. We got a bunch of questions to go over, which I'm excited to get into. I'm also interested to know your guys' take on some of these. Before we do get into anything though, I want to give a shout out to our sponsors over at OneFootball. Really good football app, which I will leave a link to in the description down below. Now, we did have some midweek action going on in the championship, so you can catch up on all of that over on the OneFootball app. You can also track the games which are going on tonight. We've got some really good ones going on. Last night we had games like Northend drawing 1-1 against Leeds. We had Brentford beating Swansea by 3-0. West Brom having to come back against Barnsley. So you can check all of that stuff out on the app, which I'll leave a link to in the description down below. But without any further ado, let's hop into some of these questions. So Ben Poxon asked, what's the best championship moment in your opinion? I think that fans of different clubs will have different answers on this one, but I think in terms of an iconic championship moment, you can't look past the Troy Deeney goal against Leicester a few years ago. Playoff semi-final, Knockout has a penalty for Leicester in the last minute to send them to Wembley. That's saved by Almunia. Watford got the other end of the pitch and Deeney sticks in the back of the net. There was absolute limbs at Vicarage Road that day. Watford went on to get promoted. That's got to be the most iconic moment. Bradley Kelly asked an interesting question. Who's the most underrated player in the championship? It's hard to narrow it down to one, so I'll give you 5 players who I think are quite underrated. Stu Rafferty for Preston North End, been absolutely exceptional for us this season, playing out of position. Josh Brownhill at Bristol City, I think is a really underrated midfielder. I think that when the conversation comes up for who are, the sort of best midfielders in the league, Josh Brownhill's never really mentioned in that, but I think he's an absolutely superb player for what he offers for Bristol City, and I'm a bit annoyed that Preston let him go, to be honest. Lucas Djukovic for Birmingham, one of the most underrated strikers in the league. I think he's an absolutely brilliant target man. Week in, week out, always offers something for Birmingham. Romain Sawyers now at West Brom, I think has elevated their midfield, is the linking part between defence and attack. Really underrated midfielder as well. I really enjoyed watching him play from his time at Brentford, and he doesn't really get the plaudits he deserves, I feel like. And then finally, Darren Pratley from Charlton Athletic. I cannot believe I'm saying this because he was all over the place while he was at Bolton at times, but at Charlton so far, I think he's been absolutely colossal in midfield, and I go as far to say he's been one of the best midfielders in the league this season. He's been awesome for Charlton. Joseph Casey asked, who do you think will be relegated from the Premier League? Now, in my prediction video at the start of the season for the Premier League, the 3 clubs who I had predicted to be relegated were Sheffield United, Crystal Palace and Burnley. Those 3 clubs are currently sat 9th, 8th and 6th in the Premier League. It's fair to say my Premier League knowledge may be a little bit off and those 3 probably won't be going down. Sheffield United, by the way, I've been really impressed by, but in terms of 3 who I do see going down at the moment, probably looking at the 3 that are down there at the moment, Watford, Norwich and Newcastle. We then got this question from Alex Lavers asking, GOAT of the championship this decade, manager, team, player. Now this one always brings up some interesting debates, so I'll leave some polls for you guys to vote on, but what I decided to do for this question is come up with my best 11 from the championship from the last 10 years. I'm interested to know if you guys agree with this. So I've gone for a 3-5-2 formation. In goal I went for Kasper Schmeichel, had 1 season at Leeds and then moved on to Leicester where it was absolutely exceptional. Obviously Leicester went on to get promoted from the championship, but he was involved in the PFA Team of the Year twice in a row, kept a bunch of clean sheets and was without doubt one of the most entertaining goalkeepers I've seen playing in the championship. I then went for a back 3. The first centre back coming into my team is going to be Fabio Collicini of Newcastle United. Played in the championship for just 1 season in 2009/10, but when you get a player who's just too good for this level, Collicini was just that. Like, he was taking the mick at times. I think it was him and Jose Enrique on that left-hand side for Newcastle. They went on to win the league. They were too good for the league that year, and Collicini was absolutely mad for them. The next centre-back I went for was Wes Morgan. Made over 300 appearances for Nottingham Forest between 2002 and 2012. Then he made his move to Leicester City, where, of course, they went on to get promoted. He was the captain of that team that then went on to win the Premier League. Had a massive impact on the championship. He was involved in 3 separate PFA Team of the Years. And the last defender I went for in that back 3 was Ashley Williams of Swansea City. Obviously now playing his football for Bristol City, but back in the day an absolutely colossal defender. Also made his way into 2 consecutive PFA Team of the Years for the championship. Went on to get promoted with Swansea City and went on to have a fantastic career, making over 300 appearances for Swansea. Into midfield, and this is where it gets interesting. The first midfielder I went for was Gylfi Sigurdsson. Probably a lot of people don't remember him from his time at Reading, but 1 season he absolutely ripped the championship apart as a youngster. Back in the 09/10 season he scored 20 goals in all competitions and came up with 8 assists as well. He was absolutely massive for Reading. Obviously, everyone knows the player who went on to become playing for Swansea and Tottenham and now Everton in the Premier League, but once in the Championship, Gylfi Sigurdsson was something else. Next to him in midfield, I had to go for Ruben Neves. Arguably, he's probably in the debate for the best player to have played in the Championship, and when Wolves signed him, I remember doing a video on it, no one really knew what to expect. It was just a bizarre thing that happened at the time, but what an impact he came in and had on the Championship. That Wolves squad as a whole was absolutely fantastic, but Ruben Neves really was the heartbeat of it. Some of the goals he scored were absolutely outrageous. That one against Derby was just pretty ridiculous, really. Touch and volley from outside the box, absolutely outstanding technique. In terms of controlling a game and setting the tempo for it, Ruben Neves is probably the best in the league has seen for that. On the right hand side, I went for Pablo Hernandez. This was a bit of a toss-up for me between Anthony Knockaert and Pablo Hernandez. Obviously, Knockaert was brilliant in Brighton's promotion season, but what Hernandez has brought to the league while being at Leeds United, in terms of a technically gifted player, he's certainly up there. Last season, he got into double figures for goals and assists, but just watching him play, he's an absolute pleasure to watch. On the left wing, I went for Scott Sinclair. He had an absolutely unbelievable time in the Championship in Swansea's promotion year in the 2010/11 season. In that time, he scored 27 goals as a winger in all competitions. Absolutely crazy numbers, including a hat-trick at Wembley, which saw Swansea being promoted after a 4-2 victory over Reading. At the time at Swansea, he was one of the most promising upcoming players in England. Obviously, eventually got his move to Man City, but for whatever reason, things in the Premier League didn't really work out for him. He's gone on to do well at Celtic, but probably didn't go on to have the career that a lot of people expected him to have. But in terms of a player in the Championship, he absolutely tore apart the league that year. As the centre-attacking midfielder in my team, I've gone for Adel Taarabt, and let's not beat around the bush. This guy is the GOAT of the Championship. Like, there's no other way about it. I'm sorry, but Adel Taarabt is by far the best player we've seen in the Championship. In terms of an individual isolated season, Adel Taarabt in the 10/11 season, no one compares to him, I'm sorry. This guy scored 19 goals and got 21 assists. He was absolutely unplayable. QPR went on to win the league that season, but Adel Taarabt was single-handedly winning games by himself. Like, he was a man possessed for that season. There was no stopping him whatsoever. In terms of skill, flair, final product, showboating, absolutely everything, Adel Taarabt had it in absolute abundance. He has to be somewhere in this team, and for me personally, he is the GOAT of the Championship. But we still have 2 more spots in my team, so coming in as the first striker, not really a striker, more played as a winger, or I suppose he did play as a second striker at times, but Peter Whittingham for Cardiff City, really underrated player in the Championship. If we're talking about consistency in the Championship, then Peter Whittingham is right up there as one of the best players we've seen. He scored 20 goals and got 10 assists in the 9-10 season. In the 11-12 season, we saw him score 12 goals and get 15 assists. Absolutely brilliant player and one of the best in the Championship. There's the last player to include into this team. I've gone for Billy Sharp. There were quite a lot of other strikers that I could have gone for, but I think that in terms of consistency, Billy Sharp edges it. He scored over 100 goals over the past 10 years in the Championship. Only Ross McCormack has more goals in the Championship in the past 10 years than Billy Sharp does, but as Ross McCormack fell off a little bit at Aston Villa, I think that Billy Sharp deserves it for consistency. It really was the icing on the cake last season with Sheffield United's promotion. Billy Sharp played a massive part in that, and as you can see on screen now, guys, that is my Championship team of the decade. So the best 11 players from the Championship in the past 10 years. Do you guys agree with my selections? I had to leave quite a few players out, you know, honourable mentions go to the likes of Kevin Nolan, Ricky Lambert, Anthony Knockaert, Willy Bolly, Matt Ritchie. There's loads of players who I could have included into that team, but that's the 11 I went for. Let me know what you think of it down below. Danny Meek asked, who do you think has been the most improved team from last season, and also whose team's performances have decreased the most from last season? In terms of the most improved, I'd have to go for QPR. They've really taken me by surprise so far this season. Currently sat 4th in the league, playing some fantastic football, scoring a lot of goals. Mark Warburton's done a brilliant job there. In terms of the team whose performances have decreased the most, I've been surprised that Reading have been as bad as they have been, although they have started to pick up lately under Mark Bowen. Obviously, they beat Preston the other week and got a good point in midweek as well, played well against QPR. Brentford, another team who I thought would be a little bit better, but they seemingly are starting to go in the right direction now. A brilliant win for them in midweek against Swansea. Tigsy YT asked, best hair in the Championship. You're probably looking at Hanno Masengo. I think he's got a strong case for that, I've got to say. Sol Porter asked, if PNE get promoted to the Premier League, would you still cover the Championship? Now, I get this question asked all the time, and for me personally, I enjoy the Championship, you know, even if Preston weren't in there, and even when Preston haven't been in there, you know, when we've been in League One in the past, I always keep up to date with the Championship, and I think that if Preston ever were to get promoted or relegated, I'd still do videos around it. Maybe not as many, as I'd still be looking to cover Preston as well, but on the whole, I'd definitely still be making some form of Championship content, even if Preston weren't in the league. Jamie FA Gaming asked, what's your favourite away day in the Championship? I've got to be honest, I'm not just saying this because you're a Forest fan, but I do enjoy an away day at the City Ground. It was a decent away day this this year. In terms of my favourite away day so far this season though, I'd probably say St Andrews at Birmingham, probably because it's been the only away game we've won and they tend to be the better ones, but a really good atmosphere for that game. Brandon Sadler asked who's the best player in the league and are West Brom going up? Possibly and yes. Brilliant Blue with Alex asked who do you think will get relegated from the Championship and promoted from League One? Honestly, it's so weird. My opinion on this changes week to week. I'm sure it does with most of you guys as well. But I mean, looking at the current bottom three in the Championship, we got Barnsley, Stoke and Huddersfield. Looking at those bottom three at the moment, you know, Barnsley, I'd probably say the favourites to go down at the moment. But even then, they put in some decent performances lately with 2 draws back to back. Stoke are down there, although they've been looking a lot better lately. Jones seems to have got the players back on side. Middlesbrough do fear for a little bit, but you'd think that looking at that team, they're too good to go down. It's a really hard one to predict relegation at the moment. Let me know down below who you guys are fancying. In terms of League One, I don't actually watch too much League One football, so some of you guys can fill me on this one. I think that Ipswich are pretty much nailed on to come back up. They've been looking really strong so far. Wycombe have surprised a lot of people. Peterborough are probably going to be there or thereabouts, but you'd expect Sunderland to come back at some point. You know, if they don't get promoted, it's a bit embarrassing really, with the players they've got available to them in League One. Tom Lally asked who have been the best fullbacks in the Championship this season. For me personally, I'd probably go for Joe Bryan and Ryan Manning. Ralph Cyrus asked who's your favourite ever player. I think that in terms of a Preston fan, Joe Garner during our promotion season, he grew up as a Preston fan to be our top scorer, leading the line for us, getting, you know, about 30 goals that year. My levels of love for Joe Garner are going to be hard to be topped by anyone. Know the Facts asked, are you going to start vlogging games again? I've been asked this question a lot and I don't know really, I'm a bit mixed in my mind as to what to do about this, because on one hand I think they would make some really good videos, especially with how North End are playing at the moment, and it is something that I might look into doing more of in the future. The other side of me is thinking I just like going to games and watching them normally, you know, I don't want to worry about getting the camera out and things like that, so I'm a bit mixed in my mind at the moment, but it's something I'm thinking about. And then Jamie Aldous asked, is YouTube your full-time job? If so, how long have you been doing it for? So it's not my full-time job, I am at university, so I just do this on the side really. I'm currently in my second year studying journalism, but YouTube is something that I have been doing for quite a while now, and it's just something that I really enjoy, and who knows where it'll take me in the future. But guys, that will wrap it up for today's Q&A, so thank you very much to everyone who did submit a question there. Apologies if I didn't get around to answering your question. We had an absolute bunch of them. I'll look to do a part 2 to this in the near future. But if you did go on to enjoy, make sure you leave a like, guys. It is always massively appreciated. Make sure you do subscribe for a bit of regular Championship content. Your spot lately has been absolutely mental, so thanks very much for watching. But apart from that, I'll see you all in the next one.